Today I'm going to walk through how to set up Affinity Publisher for typesetting fanfiction or other stories. This video will cover setting up a new document template, how Affinity's workspace is set up, turning on the windows that you will need while typesetting, as well as turning on rulers and grids. On the New Document menu, select the letter preset. Then move towards the Create Preset button. Type in what you'd like to name it. Under Layout, change your width to 5.5 and your height to 8.5 inches. Keep 300 dpi. Under Pages, make sure Facing Pages is checked, arrange horizontally, and start on the right. Under Color, change the color format to CMYK8, which is better for printing. Under Margins, check the link button. Type in 0.6, unclick the link button, and change your top or bottom to 0.7. This will be the side you place your page numbers on. Feel free to set up different margins that you prefer. Under Bleed, make sure everything is set to 0. At the top of the screen, click Save and overwrite current preset. You can now favorite and hit OK to start a new document. Next, we're going to walk through how Affinity Publisher is laid out. On the left, you have the toolbox. This includes your text frame tools, your shapes, your cropping, as well as your color pickers. Then we have the left and right studio panels, where you can add various windows that help you bookbind and typeset. Right off the bat, we're going to add the Assets window. This will allow you to store images that you use multiple times while typesetting. Then we're going to go in and add, we're going to skip books, but it might be helpful in the future, but we're going to add Find and Replace. This is very helpful. Then we're going to add Pre-Flight, which allows you to check everything out, similar to Word's spell check, if you will. Then under References, you're going to add Table of Contents. And then you can just double check if there's any other that interest you. Under the text menu, you want to make sure that you have character and paragraph and styles all selected. So I'm good there. And there's nothing else that I need to add here. One of the things you can do is if you move around, if there's too many you have up at the top, you can move these windows around into your various studio panels or even have them float on the screen. So say I want Table of Contents, but it's too many menus up there. So you can just drag it over to your other studio panel and it'll drop right in. And if you are hovering over a space, it'll turn blue and you can kind of see where the window will be dropped. Or if you decide you don't actually want that window available, you're not going to use it, just go right on back up to the window menu and turn it off. These are your basic windows that you're going to want while typesetting. There are more that all do different features, but this is going to get you started, especially with your pages, Find and Replace, your pre-flight, as well as your character, paragraph, and styles, and your layers is going to get you to where you need to go. One of our windows that we're going to use most often is the Pages window, which includes all your masters and the pages that show your actual content while typesetting. And then I mentioned Assets earlier. Now Stock is an option where it can give you some stock photos. I'm not going to use that, so I'm going to turn it off, but it's there if you need it. So I'm going to keep this left studio panel with those 4 windows. Looking over at color, right now it kind of defaults to kind of a basic color wheel. I want to actually have an actual wheel, so I'm going to go to those 3 lines and click wheel. But if you prefer a different method, there are different options. You can do slider, which looks like this. You could do boxes, but I'm going to do wheel. Then we have the swatches. Now this is pretty important if you ever want to work with palettes. This is where you would be able to create a palette and save colors to it so that you can easily access them. Switching to the Strokes tab, here you can add outlines, change the thickness, and even change if it's a sharp curve or a curved. And to change the color of a stroke, you can switch between those 2 circles in the upper left of the color area. Let's go down and look at text styles. These are my basic text styles. You can download a copy of this off of our drive if you want to start here, but we'll get into a separate video on text styles. In paragraph, here's where you can change all your line spacing, including your indents on either left or right. And in the character tab, this is really important, especially if you want to track or kern your letters in, which is helpful if you are in a position where you are trying to fit everything on one page. The layers area, if you're not used to working with layers with like a Photoshop program, this is where everything that you put on your page will be visible. So any images, any text frames, you can turn them off and on or even lock them. Down at the bottom, you have 3 different tabs, including your navigator. This is just a way to move around. Your history, which will show everything that you've done, including changing your fonts, inserting text, or even resizing images. And finally, your transform area, which allows you to take any inserted element and enter in specific sizes. So if you want your text frames to be specific sizes or your images, you can do that here. I have a ruler turned on. I find it very helpful. If you would like to turn that on, go up to View and just make sure your Show Rulers is on, or click Control R if you're on Windows. But you can also turn on grids and axes from this view menu as well. So if you click that, you can click Show Grid and your basic grid will show up on your screen, and then you can click through different presets to find one you like. This includes isometric or triangular, or just the basic square grid. Then once you have one selected, you can modify it by changing your spacing between the squares. You can even change the colors or opacity. Depending on what project you're doing, you may find different ones work for you. So play around and find something that you like with the spacing and number of divisions you like as well. Once you have that set up, you're going to want to turn on snapping. Snapping is optional, but you can find it under the View menu by going to View and clicking on snapping. If you do that, you'll be able to turn it on as well as change some other settings surrounding it. If you're working on a typeset that has a lot of images that you want perfectly lined up, especially something like a journal, snapping is going to help you do that. That means that everything you draw will snap to the grid. The magnet at the top of your screen also turns on snapping, and the little arrow next to it opens the snapping menu. That menu is where you can go down and actually click Snap to Grid. There are lots of other default snaps enabled, which include snapping to various spreads or to other images or margins. But this is how you work with grids. Hopefully this helped you set up Affinity Publisher a bit better for typesetting. Obviously, there's a lot more details on how each of these windows work and how to actually typeset a fanfiction or story. We'll get more into how to set up some of these windows, like textiles, in future videos, but for now, I hope this helped you get over the initial fear of setting up a new program. Join us for future videos as we dive into the details on how to typeset in Affinity Publisher.